Hey, it's Leif Welhaven Reinvention with Leif Welhaven. Glad to have you again. This week we're going to be talking with a great guest. Perfect timing of the year with people rolling into the beginning of the year, wanting to make some great changes in their life with their health. And so I've got an expert today that's an accomplished business person, so we're going to be talking to her. But just so you know, again, you're going to be able to find Reinvention with Leif on my website, reinventionleif.com. You'll be able to find our podcast on all the major podcast platforms. That's the beauty of this. You'll be able to hear it audio, video. It's going to last about 3 hours. I'm kidding. It's about 30 minutes. So we're going to be coming to you every week with reinvention stories. You heard me talk the very first time about my reinvention, but more importantly, we want to hear about what you want to hear about. We want to hear personalities, these amazing people that have stories of reinvention, and today we've got a perfect one. This is going to be so awesome. I'm excited to hear from her. So this is my friend Nicole Griffith. She has a company called Well Paired right here in Billings, Montana, with a couple locations, right? And the cool thing about Nicole, she's so chill, easygoing. I texted her like yesterday and said, "How do you feel about being on a podcast tomorrow?" She's like, "Sure, let's do it." So I appreciate you doing that, Nicole.
Absolutely.
Really do.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business. What's going on with Well Paired?
Sure. Well, if you don't know us, we have 2 locations in town. So we have one on 24th and Broadwater, and then our second location is next to Walker's on 27th and 1st downtown. We've been here for 7 years.
Wow.
And we offer all healthy products, fresh juices, smoothies. That's kind of what we're known for, but we have a full menu of wraps, salads, grain bowls, acai, cleanses, so tons of products, but all made in-house and all really healthy,
So
clean
good.
ingredients.
It's so good.
Yeah.
The juices are amazing. I always get the swole. I think that's a really good one. The grain bowls are amazing. This whole acai thing, I got to ask you about that. So it seems like a big rage, right?
Yeah.
To see like these, like the Berry Bowls of the world and the acai sisters. They got these like acai food trucks, if you will. So why is that so popular right now? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's the color and the fun. Like there's tons of ingredients and lots of toppings, and we make ours with house-made granola and maple syrup, so there's no added sugar, but they're just sweet and delicious, and you could have them for dessert. It could be breakfast. It really has no meal time, so I think people just love
Perfect.
that.
I love it. So anyway, we're going to listen to Nicole a little bit about her story of reinvention. So we're just gonna jump in. So I know your company's about 7.5 years old, something like that.
Yep.
So tell us, how did you, that's kind of a story of reinvention in itself. What made you decide to start your own business? Because that is like terrifying for people. It can be perceived as expensive. It can be perceived as 90% of small businesses fail within the first 2 to 5 years. What made you decide to just reinvent yourself and start your business?
Well, I didn't know better. So looking back, I probably was just naive. But I don't think I ever thought it was a risk, that I wanted to do something, and I really thought I knew how to do it, and I had knowledge from the industry because that was my background for my degree. And so it seemed like a very easy decision to just say, yeah, go for it.
Wow. And you're a Billings girl.
Yeah.
So obviously near and dear to my heart already, right there with that. So you started this business, and I don't know, and this is not a sexist statement at all, but obviously a lot of businesses, you don't see a ton of women in there, more and more all the time, and I'm all about empowering women and women in business, and I totally support all that. What made you decide as a female like this? Did you see that as a hurdle at all, or was it just natural? I'm just going to jump in and go.
Yeah, it wasn't a hurdle on the top of my mind when I started. It became one, and
Sure.
it's something we've definitely overcome and still fight against all the time. There aren't a lot of female-owned businesses that are doing the kind of sales we are, so the capital and the money that we need to grow isn't freely there. But it's a nice challenge. It makes me feel almost more empowered to continue moving forward. Like you told me I couldn't, and I'm gonna. So I like that.
I love that.
I have to kind of fight that grit.
Yeah. No, that is huge.
Yeah.
So at that time, what was going on in your life? I mean, what did you have going on, and you just decided, yeah, I'm gonna do this business? I mean, I guess what I'm asking, I always take people back to this, is what's your why? Why do you go to work? Why do you start a business? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to get healthy? Why do you want to get out of debt? Why do you want to have better relationships? So for you, why, and I know you have a business partner, which is your grandmother, why did you guys decide this is what we're going to do? We're going to do juice, and we're going to do all these healthy things. What was your why?
Yeah, our why at the time, it's changed for me now and like why I want the company to grow and keep growing. But at the time, it was really a need-based decision where I knew health and wellness. I had always had a huge passion for it. My degree was in exercise science, and I really struggled to eat well here. And I knew that if I was struggling and I knew all the tips and tricks and everything that I could do, that the people that had not as much information had to be struggling even more. So we went into it with a little bit of a niche concept of more juices and smoothies to start, but it really elaborated and went more into food as we kind of grew because that was where the need was for our community.
I love that. I've heard that said many times where if you identify a need and you fill it, that you can be successful. And so that's your classic example of that you identified that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we talked about your why. So how did you do it? What did you did you have to go get a loan? Did you have to write a business plan? Did you have to go to the bank? I mean, tell us how did you do it?
Well, I intended to go to the bank and get a loan. Like I said, the intent that I was going to get denied or that it would, the system wouldn't work for me never popped into my head till we actually went and tried it. So we were told no by every bank that we went to, even just for the very beginning, which was a food truck. So we weren't asking for a lot of capital or a big loan. But I had just graduated college, had really no assets. And all we had was this trailer that I bought. And so we ended up getting investors, which were family and friends, that helped us launch the trailer. So we had that up and running in a couple months. And then within 6 months, I think we knew we wanted to do a location. So we had to go back, asked for more money, got denied again. So we did the same thing, another friends and family round of investment and got more money and opened up the location. And that's kind of been our model.
Sure.
Yeah. Of just really asking
others. Very risky, obviously, but you believed in it. And you had the why was big enough, and I talk about that a lot. That if the why is big enough, the how doesn't really matter. You'll just figure it out, right?
Yep.
And I think you guys are a classic story of that, right?
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about you've got your grandmother, and you had family and friends. Obviously, when you do this reinvention and you start a business, there has to be some what I would call a support system, right? Who was your support system then, and who is it now?
Yeah, my grandma's definitely been my biggest supporter. She's always believed in me, and she's been a partner of the business, but she's never doubted my vision or where I wanted to see the company grow. So anything that we struggled with or had to make a decision on, she was my sounding board. My brother is our general manager and also our chef now, so he's been a huge part of the company ever since he decided to take on that role.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I was asking her about him before we started the show. I've seen him in the stores, and he's always just got this ball of energy. He's just amazing, and he looks like he's 12, right? And that's a compliment. And so do you. And I think I said about your grandmother, I thought it was her mother, literally. So they have this anti-aging gene, which maybe it's the acai and the juices. Yes,
it's all
she's
about
got
the
it all. Yeah, absolutely. So how did they help you? So I mean, obviously, some of them helped financially and moral support. How else did you find that support from your support system?
I think having people that just you can talk to and you can tell them anything that you're insecure about and have them reassure you. Most of the time we get in our own ways or get in our own heads or put ourselves in a box of we can't do this. And so I really think that more than anything, they just believed in me and helped me kind of find my path. But other business owners, other businesses in town, all of that's inspiration, and all of those are really great supporters too.
Wow, that is really well said. I really like that you said they supported you no matter what. Sometimes when you have people that are close to you, sometimes they don't always want your success because it makes them uncomfortable. Just like when I talked about my story of reinvention, there was one year after I lost all the weight, the next year I decided I was going to quit drinking for a year. And so to quit drinking every day for a year, I mean, that's like a lot, And so I remember there was friends of mine that didn't, all of a sudden they weren't hanging out with me, they didn't invite me along, these kinds of things, because I was kind of the life of the party. Oh, Leif will buy drinks, he'll be the fun. But I was still fun. I mean, trust me, I can find fun anywhere, but I was just like, they just looked at it differently, and I was like, do they really want my success or do they not? And so it's just
hard.
It was really hard. It's just really interesting how that comes about. But as I look at your company now, you've got the second location in downtown Billings, which to me also was probably a risk because sometimes you see businesses moving from downtown to the West End or somewhere else. And of course, being a Billings guy, you being a Billings girl, I love to see downtown Billings thrive. I think thriving from the inside out is always good.
I agree. Yep.
So you got that second location. Tell us about how that's been, because obviously you probably had to change some things because it's different.
Yeah.
Different, the demographic, different needs, different hours, all those kinds of things. Talk about that.
Yeah, two completely different clienteles from downtown to West End. And all the businesses I know that have the two locations say the same thing. So we won Battle of the Plans. That was part of why we went downtown, because it was a revitalization program that was meant to encourage new businesses downtown. And then there was also some expansion awards in that same competition. But we knew we wanted to be a really great lunch spot, and we thought the same thing when we opened our West End. There wasn't a ton of healthy food for downtown workers.
Right.
You had to either make your own lunch or you were stuck with like Jimmy John's, and I think that was kind of it.
Sure.
Because I think, well, maybe Pita Pit was there too, but you really didn't have a lot of options, or you had a sit-down location, and so our specialty's always been really fast, healthy food.
Fast, healthy food. That doesn't always go together, right? Those
Right.
terms. So you talked about Battle of the Plans, which, if you don't know what that is, people, it's an amazing competition put on by the DBA.
Yep.
Right? And so that was a few years ago. How many, just to give people some point of reference, how many businesses participated that year? Do you know?
I honestly can't remember. I think there were over 30.
Wow.
Or somewhere around like 20, 30 to start.
And so what did
Yeah.
you learn from that? I mean, obviously, they call it Battle of the Plans, which is Battle of the Business Plan. So if your business plan is found to be the best or most deserving, like you said, there's some extra money or some rent, build out assistance, right, to help you get started.
Yep.
Right? What was that process like?
It was long and a lot of work.
Right.
I remember tons of nights where I didn't sleep at all. We were just typing and writing up business plans and creating the model that we really saw as a vision. We didn't have to have that to start a trailer and to
Right.
start a location with friends and family. Like, we could just say, believe in us and we'll take it. So
Right.
this was different. We really had to dot our T's and dot our I's and cross our T's
Right.
and know what we were going to do.
So
But
there's some reinvention right there,
Yeah.
some changing and adapting, right?
yeah, absolutely, for what
Wow.
you're going to do for growth. And
Well, I remember when you guys won, I just thought that was so cool. I was so happy for you. And I think I remember there was another business maybe that got second or third place, and I think they came back maybe the next year and they won or whatever it was. But I've always
Something
just
Chic.
Linda Brooks.
Linda
yeah.
Brooks, yeah.
So I've always just admired people that go through that process,
Yeah.
because you learn a ton about yourself, a ton about your business, your staff, your business model, and so to come out on that is, I mean, that's a huge,
Well,
that's a
and
big
then
win.
you have
That's
the
a big deal.
connection of the DBA and the SBDC that put it on, and you have all these great new contacts too. So yeah, it was a really fun process.
I'm glad you brought that up. We were talking about that before we came on the show, was about that collaborative piece, teaming up with other businesses, working with the DBA, working with the Chamber of Commerce, working with Big Sky Economic Development. I mean, there's so many pieces, resources, tools out
Yeah.
there that people just don't take advantage of. Like you and I talked about, people tend to operate in a silo.
Yeah.
This is what I do. This is my bubble. Don't come in it. But the more collaborative you are, and I think you share the same vision, the more successful you can be, right?
I agree. Yeah, I do think that you all elevate each other when there's healthy competition. It's easy to kind of just get stuck where you're at
Sure.
and think you're doing enough. And so yeah, I think collaboration helps with that, and I think competition's great for that too.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Strong woman.
Well-
I totally dig it. So tell us a little bit more about some of the products. I mean, obviously, I know they're fresh, they're healthy. I mean, that's really what the cornerstone of your business. So talk about that. I know you said you have like a no list of ingredients. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So we started with just this concept that we wanted food to be simple. I really didn't like all the additives that were in everything that I was finding. So our goal was to take out all of the additives that you didn't know, whether it was carcinogens or additive flavors, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, a lot of preservatives. We just didn't want any of it in the food that we ate, so we wanted to take it out. So we make a lot of stuff in-house in order to make that happen. We make all of our own dressings, we make our own croutons, we make our own like candied walnuts and our own granola. We roast all of our own ingredients, so we don't buy really frozen or anything from the package, and make all that in-house. So there's a lot of cooking all day long that we
Boy,
do.
I get a lot of prep. Holy
Yeah.
moly.
But we have a really clean list, and we're really proud of what we can put in the stores, and we know what's in everything, and so we can tell the customers exactly what's in everything, and it really allows us to say, yeah, we have a great clean product and we could stand behind it, and so can you.
When I first met you, there was a friend of mine who worked out at Anytime Fitness, which was right next to your first location. And so she says, hey, why don't we run over and we'll grab this smoothie over here at Baird? And we run over there and I'm getting it. And I look at the no list of ingredients or whatever, and I'm like, well, there's no sugar, there's no color, there's no fun. Well, this is not going to be any good. And so she's like, just trust me. Get him the swole, get him this, get him that. And, do you want like, I don't know, it was like peanut butter or like almond butter? I'm like, what's an almond butter? Anyway, so they educated me, and it tasted amazing. It tasted just like a milkshake, and it was a whole lot better for me, right? But that was kind of my introduction to your company, and so.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Well, because most people don't think that healthy can taste good too. Right. So I love that you,
McDonald's is around the corner. Why are we not going there? But anyway. So another part of the reinvention, we talked about the Battle of the Plans, which was a huge victory. Going to downtown, you're expanding this health and wellness piece. You're meeting the needs of the community. But obviously things have changed recently. And one of the things I've noticed in your location is now that you can actually get some alcohol, right? I can get like a beer or something when I'm dining in. What was the motivation or the reinvention behind offering that?
Yeah, well, we started that before COVID happened. So there was an intent that we'd have like a better patio season and more events indoors, but we also wanted to be able to cater more events.
Sure.
So weddings or corporate events, and do anything that was off-site in that regard. And so we knew we kind of had to be a full service venue to be able to do that. So beer and wine kind of went with it if we wanted to do events.
So you go from a juice truck, food truck, to 2 locations. Then now we're catering and we're getting an alcohol license. I mean, to me, that's huge transformation. I don't know if you probably didn't see that all in the beginning.
No.
But like you said, the why and all those things change and evolve, right?
They do, yep.
Man,
yep.
Awesome.
And even though beer and wine doesn't really fit necessarily in a healthy diet every day, it still fits everything in moderation.
It's a nice compliment.
Yep.
I've been to the downtown location. I thought, gosh, it is kind of, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I think I will have a beer. And it's just been a really nice touch. So I can see how that's been a nice addition for you guys.
We'll see how it goes after COVID happens and people come back downtown.
Exactly. So you got the great foods, I know what I wanted to ask about is your staff. Okay. So your staff to me is like off the charts. They're always excited to see me, even though they probably don't know me. I like to think everybody does, but they don't. But they're always just happy. They're always on fire. They're always just, very customer service oriented. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. It's the God's honest truth.
Oh, thank you.
How did you foster and cultivate that?
Yeah. So this goes back to my why now. My why before was for the community and healthy food, but my why now and why I go to work and why I continue to want to grow the company is for them. I love that we get to be someone's best first job, or that I get to be their first boss or employer, and that we get to really just feed into them. We really try to create roles and jobs and environments where our staff get to grow and excel and not fit them into whatever team member role that we say they are.
That happens way too often in corporate America.
Oh, yeah. And I saw that with the jobs that I worked. I had really great bosses when I was growing up, but I could see that if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I want to make sure that our staff have those same experiences and that they get to develop their skills with us when it's the best time for them to really play and find out who they are.
That's so good because a lot of, like you said, the jobs I've had in the past, or a lot of typical jobs, is here's the role, here's the square peg, the round hole. I know you're a square peg, but by golly, you're going in that hole.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it work, and you're going to fit. If you don't fit, well, then you're out of here. Versus, like in today's world, I think just adapting and changing. I mean, we see people bringing dogs to work now. We see people, just the whole workplace has changed, right? Everybody's working from home and adapting. And so, anyway, it's just, I guess, a huge compliment or kudos to you and your team to be able to do that.
Wow.
And even during COVID, because it'd be easy for staff to be negative. Oh, we're not very busy. We're not making any tips. It's a bad deal. When are we going to be able to take this mask off? But you've had to change and pivot and reinvent, right?
Right. Well, and if you have a culture where you're letting them know you care about them, even now, and taking any kind of safety precaution for their health, or paying them if they have to leave, or whatever it is, if you can really communicate that you care about them, I think that only goes down the line and creates what we talked about earlier of like that ripple effect, where then they're going to take care of your product, they're going to take care of your customers, they're going to want to take care of the community. Like it really starts from the top and works its way down.
This seems to be a theme, guys. This ripple effect thing, it's real. It's a real thing. I love it. So anyway, this is really one of the cruxes of what I wanted to talk with you about. Is one of the things I really saw during COVID is your company kind of led the charge and kind of pulled other restaurants into a collaborative group to create this like buffet. I don't want to say punch card because it's not a punch card. It was like a gold card and a silver card, but it was basically a buffet where you're bringing other restaurants together. So if you would tell us about one, how that came together and what it's all about.
Yeah, so it was called the Billings Buffet, and it was like a silver plan and a gold plan because we had a family and an individual plan. But it was a concept where we realized third-party partners were delivering our food, and they couldn't guarantee the quality, they couldn't guarantee the presentation, and they were delivering multiple different orders, and all day long it was this hard process of like, what do we eat, where are we going to eat? People want different things, so we just said, well, why don't we take that third-party person out and collaborate with some restaurants that we know can offer a really great product too. We'll offer a mix of things. So we had Walker's and Sassy Biscuit and Sophie's Kitchen and Guadalajara and Velvet Cravings and then us. We had this great mix of products, and every day was a different set of items for lunch, snacks, dinner, and dessert. And you could pick how many days you wanted it delivered in a week or how many people you wanted to feed in a week. And it allowed us to ensure the product was really good and the quality was really good. And then it allowed us to take out that service fee of all these other companies delivering our food for us.
So you're paying them to deliver it. It doesn't come out the way you want it. It's not a representation of what you guys have all put together. And then to me, that's a huge story of reinvention is like, oh, we're going to go collaborate with our competition down the street and we're going to make it better for all of us. I just remember that just resonated with me. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I was like, who's doing that? And I heard it was you. I'm like, well, of course it's her. Of course she is leading the charge. So,
it's
really been a good program. Neighbors. You've been happy with it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We haven't done it in a couple months because summer came and we didn't really think it was needed. But yeah, we really loved it. And I think all of the restaurants that did it felt the same way. Like it just allowed us to keep our teams going. It allowed us to work for a little while longer and to keep moving forward. And that collaboration part was great.
Well, it just says a lot about you guys that you're willing to kind of humble yourselves and work with other people. Like you said, the rising tide raises all boats, right? And so, but a lot of people don't always subscribe to that. We all, like I said, tend to operate in our silos like, hey, this is mine and this is what I do. You better not infringe on it. So for you guys to kind of put that together, just said a lot about the downtown business culture, the restaurant, because we all wanted to support restaurants because I always feel so bad. Every time I want like I'm doing a fundraiser or I'm doing a gift basket for an auction. Oh, let's go to Well Paired. Let's ask them for a gift card. Hey, let's go to Walker's. Let's ask them for a free gift card. And I remember seeing all these things on Facebook like, okay, now it's your turn to pay these people back. Support their businesses, buy their business their gift cards and give back to them that have been so generous, right? Right.
Well, in the restaurant industry, and I think the U.S. is like the second employer of people. So it's so many people and we don't want any of those to like not have jobs or work. And our main goal was just how can we keep our people staffed and employed and still make enough so that we can pay them. So I think that's how we all felt when we were walking into it is whatever we can do to keep the people working, like let's just do that.
Well, and I think everybody goes back and forth on the mask and whether you should wear one or not. And I've always felt like, well, I may not want to wear it. I don't think anybody wants to, right? But if it's going to help keep the doors open of Well Paired or of Walker's or of Sophie's, then so be it, right? That's just the way, I get it. We all want to have our rights, but that's just my position, people. Let's come tell you that right now.
I get it.
So business is good now. Tell us about, I know we're still in the midst of COVID, but how are things now?
Yeah, I think we're adapting still. I think we're still reinventing, like you said, trying to figure out what's next and where the food industry goes from here, because I don't think any industry will necessarily go back to the way it was. It'll be the same. So we're still playing that by ear. Technology will be a huge part of our platform moving forward, but business is good. We're still kicking open, operating, running. Yep.
I noticed when you did the buffet and probably prior to and since then, but you guys have like every time I see an advertisement or a social media post, you're always putting in the link so they can order, like order now or order.com or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But it just is a link right directly to your website so people can order online. And now you do citywide delivery.
We do.
Which that's an expense and an investment, right? So, all that is just shows your commitment to reinvention. You may not have thought of it as commitment to reinvention. You might have just thought, we're surviving and we're going to change and adapt. But like we talked about before, there's restaurants and businesses that haven't.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, you see some of those places close or they're slow or, gosh, and you hate to see any business go out of business. I mean, It's just like the worst. So, so what would your advice be to some of those businesses, maybe not just restaurants, but businesses in general that are struggling with that reinvention piece or the adapting? Gosh, we've done it this way for 50 years, Nicole. Why do we want to change
Yeah.
that?
I mean, I think that's why even we started having more of a food menu, is that we really listened to our customers on where they needed us to meet them. And we kind of do that with our health concepts all along. We want to meet you where you're at. Like if you're just getting into healthy eating, we're going to figure out a way to make it accessible or affordable, or it's going to taste good enough that you're going to still want to do it. So same thing with this of, if customers aren't wanting to leave their house and they're not comfortable going out, then okay, we'll bring it to you and let's find a way that we can do it safely. And if it's an investment now, then that's okay, because we're going to at least keep you as a customer and keep you healthy and safe.
That is so good. That is so good. I love those pieces of advice. So tell us about your grandmother as part of your business.
Yep.
So what is her role exactly?
She's our chief financial officer,
Okay,
so she
CFO,
still runs our books and does all of our accounting. Everyone calls her grandma, so the whole staff just refers to her as grandma.
She does not look like a grandma, I'm just telling you right now. But I went over that earlier, but she's amazing.
Yeah, she's a great gal.
And then how many people are on your team?
We've got about 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's important. We appreciate that. Obviously, that's a huge commitment in itself, right? You're helping support 20 individuals and families.
Yeah, it's fun.
Right? Another thing I wanted to touch base on, this I thought was pretty cool. You guys got a designation, a recognition from the Healthy by Design Coalition. And so tell us about that. So for people that don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't apply for it sooner, because this is kind of our concept of just having a healthy work environment. So that's the basis of it, that you have to provide healthy snacks for team meetings. You have to give your staff employees like breaks and paid vacations or time off. What else? You have to implement some kind of healthy wellness component to your trainings or monthly meetings. So we always do yoga sessions, or we'll meet out at a park. A lot of our meetings are outside. So it's just like an active, healthy work environment where we're continuing to foster that moving forward.
I love it. No, that's, again, setting the standard, setting the bar high. I think that's all really good. Well, I know we're kind of getting ready to wrap up. What's next for you? I mean, that's how I always like to ask people, well, now that you're killing it, what's next? So you guys are killing it, and you're adapting, you're changing, you're reinventing. What's next for you, and what's next for Well Paired?
Growth. I think we're still in the growth concept of more locations. I think we're waiting a little bit to see what happens. But yeah, our plan is still to grow. We want to keep bringing our product and our food to other food deserts of non-healthy food communities all over. We think we have a really good product that's accessible by everyone and still affordable, and it's fresh and
Still
it tastes good. Right.
Still the cornerstone.
Yeah.
So are you thinking not to give, you don't have to give away all your secrets, but maybe a couple. Are you thinking like another city? Are you thinking like the Heights, which is like another city? What, do you have any thoughts on that?
Right now we're still looking at another city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Our West End location could still grow. We could expand that and get a bigger one, but we love the two spots that we have here. And
I know there's a city just like 150 miles down the road that would you guys would totally kill it, right? Going to the west. Anyway, just saying.
I think we'll be headed there soon.
Right. That's awesome.
Yep.
That is so awesome.
That is the plan.
How about what's next for you individually? Because you seem like you're obviously very driven.
Yeah.
You have all these goals. You've been able to bring people into the vision, which is a sign of a true leader. No, I'm serious. And that is when you can bring people along. It's not, I've always heard it said, the sign of a true leader is not what they are, but what they bring behind it. Right?
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
I think my biggest strength is that I get to see potential in others and kind of find where they fit. So I'd like to continue doing that, continue building my teams and finding the right people for the right job. Personally, I think moving is probably in my future soon, of wherever our next location is going to be. I think I'll temporarily move there, but other than that,
don't get too far, all right?
I won't go too far away.
We're like friends here. Come on.
I know.
Right.
Well, Billings is always home, so I'll still be here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, this has been, a total pleasure, really, to reconnect with you.
Yeah.
I see you all the time, but we never really get a chance to visit, so to be able to talk on camera
Right.
With
With
they
the
were
audience.
primping her hair earlier. Of course, all they were doing is buffing the shine off my head. I'm not sure how that all works. Thanks, guys, for that one. But no, I'm absolutely kidding. But anyway, we appreciate you being here. The stories of reinvention and changing in a COVID world, adding businesses, being a female business owner that is empowering women. I mean, I can see a lot of growth for you too. And gosh, look at this pretty cool, well-paired mug you got.
know.
She didn't even bring that. That was
Says it on the
compliments
bottom.
of reinvention with Leif Welhaven. So you get to come on the show, you get a mug. I guess it's not a
pretty
huge
cool.
gift, but it's pretty cool.
A gift is a gift. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be able to find Nicole and I and my next guest on my website, reinventionleif.com. You'll be able to find us wherever you find all of your podcasts. It'll be available audio and video. And my plea, as always, is if you know of somebody who's reinvented themselves, their business, their organization, their family, their finances, their whatever, gosh, get with me, hit me up on social media, hit me up on my website. We would love to have more stories of reinvention. Our goal is to come to you every week with a new show, the last 3 hours, or in this case, 31 minutes, right on time. Good job, Nicole. But to bring you stories that hopefully inspire you to continue to reinvent yourself into whatever it is that you want to become. So again, thanks again,
Yeah,
Nicole.
thank you for having me.
You bet. Thanks, Mark and Charlie with King West Productions. Again, Leif Welhaven Reinvention with Leif Welhaven. Until next time, have a good day.